don't have that much to say
You don't have that much to say about what?
about my game.
I feel like there's a lot to say. This is a huge week one for you.
Yeah, it's just 1 week.
Now I have to
Oh,
leave this in. Now we are live, and I guess we got to start with that because now you just pissed me off. I know we're not gonna start with this. You already got a winner's attitude. How did that change so quickly? It's just 1 week at a time. We're staying level headed. I love it.
I didn't realize how bad the rest of the league was.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So it's actually the
Mm.
lack of other competition that makes you a little bit more confident.
Yeah, I mean the AFC's wide open.
That's true. After the debacle in New York.
Yeah, I mean both those. I wouldn't want to be a Jets fan or a Bills fan.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
want to
want to
be a
be a Jets
Ravens
fan.
fan.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be either of those at any point in time.
Who would
I
you
don't
rather
want to
be?
be a Dolphins fan. I don't
Well,
want to be
let's.
a Chargers fan.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a Ram. I don't want to be any of the. I hate all these teams. They all blow.
So wait, Chris, who would you rather be as in? So Jets are one of them. If you had to, what's the other one? Would you rather be one of us or a Jets fan right now?
No, I was saying like after last night, Jets Bills. Would you rather be a Jets or a Bills fan?
Mm.
Like in this situation, like you lost Rodgers, but they won that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, season long. I'm not saying season long. Like after like waking up this morning, you obviously want to be a Jets fan. Like you're just like,
Yeah,
oh my God. We
this
knocked
morning.
Rodgers out. We knocked Rodgers out. We still lost. Jets fans were over there like everything that can fucking go wrong, of course, goes wrong for us, but we won. Like,
Yeah, it is
so,
kind
like,
of.
like right, like
It's the story
Robert
of their
Sala's out
life.
here, like he's out here saying stuff like, "I don't understand why the narrative on our season's changing." It's like, well, you say that with a straight face. It's like we all know why, but it's like it is funny because they won. Like if they lose that game, they wake up and he's getting different questions. He now can act a little like bullish about it.
Yeah,
he's like, oh fuck it, like we won until next week. But
and he came out and
right now, I mean,
definitively said that Zach Wilson is the guy moving forward.
Yep.
I mean, just I feel like as a head coach, you almost have to do that because. So say he's not going to be the guy for the rest of the season. You have to at least instill that confidence in him for the next, 2-3 weeks that he may have to hold that position where you're like, yeah, you're the guy. Don't worry. We're not talking to anyone else. There are no other girls. It's just you.
So yeah, Colin Kaepernick's on his way though, baby.
I mean, Kaepernick's available. I've heard that he is in fact free.
Free, like as in you don't have to pay him. He'll just come play.
He'll just come play. I wouldn't be surprised if he would just show up and play.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to offer him the contract of $0, but you're an NFL quarterback again.
The last time that he
use the team facilities.
Kevin Durant played for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh,
wow! Oh,
is that true?
We've got hotel vacuuming going on right outside my door, so I hope you can hear that. I hope that's
perfect. We wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Yeah,
I mean, you're a traveling man. So, I mean, we touched on it real briefly, so we might as well give a quick recap of that Jets game last night. Obviously, everyone who's watching this knows what happened in the first 4 plays of the Jets having the ball. Aaron Rodgers blows out his Achilles. I think all of us probably at the moment just thought I thought he twisted his ankle, got it rolled on, and they were going to take him back, wrap him up, and he would come back out, be the hero. And then they would say, oh, he's questionable for next week. And this is like, okay, here we go. Now he's going to have this lingering ankle injury. Well, he is, but it's a lot worse than I think we all initially thought.
Oh yeah, you can see the reverb on that replay. That thing just fucking exploded.
Yeah. Well, once it was pointed out to me, I was able to catch it, but I couldn't tell what had happened at first.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Well, it was interesting because it's funny. I like to make fun of Rodgers as does everybody with his attitude he takes towards everything. Like it's objectively funny. Like it's just like he's always so cool, relaxed. So like, oh, I'm gonna go do ayahuasca. Everything's fine. And like honestly, his reaction for popping an Achilles compared to like other athletes I've seen do it, he was pretty much like he like stood there for a minute. It took him a minute to like go down. Like he kind of just like sat with it, and then he sits down. So his reaction alone was like, I can't be that bad. Like he didn't look phased. Like I mean, he looked like he was in pain, obviously. But like I'm not sitting there like. That's the reaction of a 39-year-old who's got all these expectations and is leaving the – like he did kind of handle this kind of like fuck it way, which was really funny to me because that's what threw me off. I was just like, oh, man, like here he goes, wrap him up, come back. But no,
to me,
the whole time he's sitting there in his head like
it almost came off as if like he knew it was super severe and was kind of just putting on a good fit. Because like the way he sat there and he was kind of just looking off into space, he was like, did I really leave Green Bay, cause all this chaos, have all the hype, run out with a flag on 9/11, stadiums lit up with green lights? I dapped up Jake Paul before I took the fucking field. That was his big problem.
Did you see the bigger star that he dapped up?
Who's that?
Kevin from The Office, baby.
How can I forget? He is one of the most famous Jets fans.
That's so great.
I think there's a chance we could get him on the show.
Ooh, at least a cameo.
I'd probably just message him and he'd be like, sure.
Right.
Well, not after last night.
I read it a little
different, funny though,
guys, because to me, and maybe it's because I watched an episode or two of Hard Knocks, but he kind of seemed aloof, like he didn't care. Like he was like, well,
interesting.
I got my bag. I can kind of ride off into the sunset right now. Maybe I'll play next year, but maybe not. I'm 40. And then watching the Hard Knocks, like in the training camp and stuff, he was more than willing to sit back and just hand out pointers to the younger guys and kind of be the mentor back
there. Right, like a backseat type of role.
He wanted to play. Yeah, I think he wanted to play, but I think he was kind of just like, okay, now I don't have to play.
Interesting. I didn't see it like that at all. So that's interesting that's what. So do you believe after being able to sit on it for a day, do you think that's what the look was? Or do you think it was more a shock?
Yeah. He tore his Achilles on purpose. That way he wouldn't have to play the season.
Yeah, I like that take. I can agree with that.
I actually,
he manifested it.
That type of take fits with the takes we've had so far on this show. That makes sense. That we would, the few viewers that we do have would not be surprised by that take whatsoever. Here's my thing, is I think there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for the Jets. And by light, I mean Carson Wentz. He's available. Call him up. He's the only guy who can save your season.
Wait, Nick Foles or Carson Wentz?
I'm going. I know I mentioned Nick Foles earlier. I think, now you're going to call me crazy here, I took a look at Carson Wentz's stats earlier today. His touchdown to interception ratio would blow your mind because we all think of him as this turnover machine, which in recent memory he has been. But his touchdown to interception ratio is not only much better than Nick Foles, that's on way more attempts, way more yards. I think that, I mean, he posted pictures of him training in the offseason. I haven't seen anything from Nick Foles. At least Carson Wentz, to me, seems like he wants to play. Like, if you're going to put a guy into that sort of situation, it doesn't have to be someone who, like, not only wants to do it, but is prepared to step in.
The only pushback I give, and this is not me personally being pro Zach Wilson, it's me, like, I genuinely believe that the Jets want to ride Zach Wilson and, like, literally would, like, I don't know why. And honestly, too, it's like, I don't know if I would want Wentz over Wilson. Like, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm honestly just pissed with both, probably.
Yeah,
but at this point, it's like,
pick your poison.
Why? Like, here's the guy that went through the training camp. Honestly, I was thinking about this, too. I'm like, one off season of Wilson, like, being humbled and knowing he's behind Rodgers, not that he's going to be a better player, but probably humbled him a little bit. Like, I'm probably sitting there, like, you know, attitude-wise, he's probably like, okay, I wasn't going to play. Now here's my chance. I've taken all this info from Rodgers. I'm still going to suck.
Most likely.
Like, don't get that twisted. Yeah. But, like, if I'm the Jets, I'm like, why bring anyone else at this point? Like, this was supposed to be Rodgers. It's already blown up.
Yeah, well, I agree with that.
I guess that's the reason, too, why you could bring someone. It's already blown up, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know whether they truthfully want to stick with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I'm of the belief that Robert Saleh probably wouldn't have said it so plain and matter-of-factly if that wasn't his plan, but plans are subject to change. If Zach Wilson comes out and he's the Zach Wilson of old, I think Saleh is going to be like, okay, well, you know what? I committed a little bit too early. Let's at least dip the toe in the pool, see what's out there. I'm only partially joking about Carson Wentz. That's if they decide to move on to a veteran quarterback. If that is what they decide to do, then I'm not joking at all about Carson Wentz. I think he's one of the better options they have. If you're staying with Zach Wilson, I still think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Breece Hall looked amazing. Hasn't lost a step. Every time he touched the ball, he averaged 12 yards a carry. So he looked fantastic. Dalvin Cook even looked good. So, you know, the offensive line can't block for their quarterbacks, but they sure as shit can block for their running backs.
Yeah,
I know.
I think. Go ahead, AJ.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think with those running backs, it was interesting because even going into this year when nobody was signing Cook and he was like not getting that money, I was like, man, that is a guy I paid a lot of attention to over the last 4 years, and he does. They put up the stat yesterday: 4 straight seasons still with over 1,200 scrimmage yards. Like
Unreal.
That's unreal. It's a lot of tread for running back. You don't want to probably pay that long term, but in the offseason, I was sitting there like, yeah, 1 year deals. Who's not giving him these 1 year deals? Like that's still a guy until he proves otherwise. I'm taking a risk on it. And he looked good to me last night.
I think he's
still
great.
Good catching the ball. He still ran the ball well. He didn't look like. I mean, he's obviously not as explosive as Breece Hall. When you do that back to back, Breece Hall is going to look much more explosive.
Definitely.
But Breece Hall looked awesome. And I'm just sitting there the whole game watching like this could be a good offense with Aaron Rodgers.
I think that was pretty much all of our thoughts. AJ, what did you think about it?
I know who the moms of New York want as their quarterback.
True.
I know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, if they can't have Aaron Rodgers, they want Zach Wilson. How could you not? Mommies love him.
Also, I could see them bringing in a familiar face. I could see them just going back to Flacco or Mike White. Like Mike White won them 3 or 4 games last year. Really?
Yeah.
I think Flacco did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, Flacco, I think you have more of an argument for because he at least has a legitimate resume. If you're going to bring in an outside, quote unquote outside, because you could say those guys have inside knowledge, but they're running a different offense. But if you're bringing an outside guy in, I think you bring somebody who offers a little bit more to the table than a Mike White, for example. I think Flacco is certainly a possibility. I think that's along the same.
Another quarterback on the roster? I don't think they do.
I heard
they didn't elevate. Who was the
squad
practice squad guy they didn't elevate?
Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle.
It was Tim Boyle. Yeah. That's bad. Here's another thing. Here's another thing to think about with Wilson. The plan, I feel like, was always, obviously, he sits behind Rodgers, see what we have. We still didn't invest a top 5 pick in this guy. See what happens after we learn from Rodgers. If not, we move on. Now I kind of feel like with this draft class with quarterbacks next year, I think they're kind of okay with, expedited, now's our time to see Zach Wilson or not Zach Wilson. Let it run. If it tanks, you blow it up and you pick it, because you know what you do when they are a team that wants to win now.
Yeah.
Because obviously when they went in with Rodgers, and so I'm not comparing them to the Cardinals, but when the Cardinals let go of Colt McCoy this year, the reason they did that is because Colt McCoy is your Joe Flacco. He can sit there and serviceably get you to 500. The Cardinals do not want to go to 500, so they're like, fuck that, get the veteran out of here. We're blowing it all up because we want Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do they bring in a guy that gets them to 500 and then they just middle of the road and they don't get I don't think they want that. It's like they either go all in or they just say fuck it and blow it up. And so that's kind of, I don't know.
Situation? What's their pick situation? Didn't they have to give something up for Rodgers?
Oh, that's a good point too.
They did, and so because Rodgers didn't play or won't be playing over 65% of the snaps, the pick that they gave then is, I believe it's like true value, so it's a second-round pick. But if he were to have played, it would have been a first-round pick.
Yeah,
so pretty interesting development in Green Bay as well, although I'm sure they're probably not too worried about that at the moment.
Yeah. You never want to give up a first-round pick, but they don't.
Yeah. I will say that we have spent entirely too much time on the New York Jets. Imagine telling us that from years ago, that we were going to spend 10 minutes talking about the Jets game. But
it was fun, man.
It was fun.
It was a good thing.
Well, before we go on, Chris did pose a point.
Yeah. I am interested to hear your thoughts on that.
So,
why don't you explain it?
That the Aaron Rodgers, amidst all of the offseason craziness, the stories, him moving from the Packers to the Jets, potentially the biggest trade in our lifetime, was him just absolutely exploding his Achilles tendon 4 plays into the season.
Mm-hmm.
The craziest thing that's ever happened in the NFL since 1995.
So we got
to think a little bit.
Generally, or like at the very start of the season. So are we just going to go in total? Because if it's
generally.
Okay, because if it's very start of the season, there's nothing that can compare. I've looked into this all day. There's nothing that has happened like that on the first day.
Well, 9/11 was week 1 in 2001.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was right after Monday Night Football. It was on Tuesday morning. Yeah, so I mean that is a rough way to start the season.
But also that has nothing to do with football. So
I mean a little bit to do with football.
Yeah, America.
Well, I think one of the other things when I was
Never forget.
saying that is like just in terms of impact, like it was the craziest thing that has impacted, in my opinion, I think in my life, like there's been like I think some of the things we were talking about earlier, and we can talk about it. It was like winning moments, whatever. Like these things that were crazy in a game.
Yeah.
But like all of that build up, all of that hype, that trade, that what that team was supposed to be in an instant. Like just not even.
Yeah.
It wasn't week 9. I mean, it was just like so impactful, and everybody's sitting there like,
yeah. I think everyone felt
there's
it.
no way. Just everyone's calf reverberated at once.
Well, even people who are not fans of Rodgers, they're not fans of the Jets, they don't care about how that situation plays out. I feel like I'll say most of us, maybe not all of us, but most of us when we saw that were like, is this really happening right now? To where it almost was like this is too crazy to actually be real. He didn't just have a season-ending injury on the 4th play of the game. That's not possible, right?
Yeah, no. And it's funny. It's like say he stayed in Green Bay and it happened in Green Bay. We're just talking about old Rodgers. That sucks. Here comes Jordan Love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just the whole thing is absurd. Like,
the narrative around that is, he's done.
No, I'm in Utah today. I heard it in the hospital twice, and I heard it. I went to get food. Heard it in the restaurant in passing. I mean, and it was from people that I don't know if they care enough about football. It's just like everybody was just murmuring. They're like, "Oh my God, Rodgers out for the season!" It's just like, and I'm just like hearing it. I'm just like, dude, it was everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you raised a great point. I teetered on it for a moment, but I could not personally come up with something that I think happened within a football game that was more shocking, impactful. Like you said, all of the things that led up to that moment, coming out with the flag on 9/11, and like, I mean, every celebrity with any New York ties is on the sideline. It's, primetime week 1, which they're going to do on purpose against the Bills. It's like they built it up to be like, this is the moment. And
like, dude, like
HBO,
it's not even like we can say, oh, it was like they had a movie going. They literally had HBO
yeah.
building it up. Like there was already a movie for
yes.
it. It was being made.
Yes.
It just blew up. Like, it's like it was crazy. It's unbelievable.
It truly was unbelievable. AJ, what are your thoughts?
So I agree with everything that you guys are saying. The build up to the moment that I think is bigger than the Rodgers thing. The build up to it is not the same, but I think the lasting impact is the same. And it happened last year. We're acting like a person didn't die on a football field.
Die on a football field. And that's I agree. Yeah.
He's gonna win the comeback player of the year if he plays 20 snaps this
right.
year.
He didn't sit up an Undertaker in that moment either. That's the thing where it's like, that was pretty fucked up. The whole world kind of stopped, and
no, it's true.
That was one of those.
Have the build up. It's not going to have the lasting impact. I get that. Strictly from a football standpoint, I understand.
There's an argument to be made.
It was Monday night. Donovan Mitchell had 73 points and no one cared. What are we doing? That was to me, that was the biggest moment in football in the recent memory.
You want to know what's even wilder about that? Watching Monday Night Countdown, almost 75% of it was about that. Yeah. So you led into this with the talk of the first regular season game, and I know Hamlin. I think he wasn't starting or whatever, but
he wasn't active.
You led into the talk with that, so it's like you had just that. It was so fresh. You're right. Like it was so fresh, so impactful that it was dominating this insane story. And then all of a sudden, it's like,
oh, that's done.
Here's another one.
He's a thing of the past now. It's like we've moved on to Rodgers. Because you know what? I damn near forgot that was just last season. The end of last season as well. I mean, fresh on everyone's minds. And through the entire offseason was kind of all people could think about. And it's like, damn, this guy's going to try to play again? Like, how is his body going to hold up? Is he going to be timid? All these things. It's like, if it wasn't for Hard Knocks specifically and the caliber of player that Aaron Rodgers has been throughout his career, I would say that would win by a landslide. But because of those factors, it's much, much closer, and I still am going to have to give the edge to Rodgers, contingent upon if he plays again in the future or not. If this is the last image we ever have of Aaron Rodgers on a football field, then this is one of the biggest football stories ever, not even just our lifetime ever.
Yeah, I agree with that. 4 plays for the Jets, and also just be more cursed. New York Football Jets, what are we doing?
It's impossible for them to be more cursed.
It's so ridiculous.
So there was another team playing that night. Josh Allen, who many people are calling prior to that game, calling one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I still believe, I'm a Josh Allen believer. I know he doesn't take care of the football. Bills looked sloppy. They almost looked shell-shocked. They were almost as shocked as the Jets were as everything happened. And they're my feeling I got from the Bills after that happened was, okay, Rodgers is out. We can kind of cruise to a victory here. We don't really need to apply crazy pressure. Then when they weren't scoring, that's when Josh Allen felt that he needed to start pushing the ball down the field, and that's when all those mistakes started to happen.
Yeah, I think the Bills actually, their offense looked atrocious.
Yeah.
Their defense kind of impressed me. I mean, you're playing against Zach Wilson, but the defense held up pretty good. I know they gave up that long run to Breece Hall, but when you're punting or turning the ball over, I mean, their defense was on the field a lot. I mean, so was the Jets. It seemed like, I know that can't be possible, but it seemed like it was just both defenses on the field against no offense. The Bills' defense, which has kind of been their Achilles to me, looked decent. They looked like shit on offense. I mean, actually, their whole team looked pretty good aside from their most important player. And they live and die. And they've done this for 3 years. They live and die by Josh Allen.
Yeah.
James Cook looked good. They might have a better running game this year. The receivers are still pretty good. Gabe Davis had a long catch. The tight ends are good.
Stephon was Stephon. Yeah. Kincaid's going to be good.
Yeah, they started involving Kincaid already, which I was interested to see how he was used early because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this dude is going to be a monster. Like he was so good in college, and shout out, he played right down the street here at Utah.
Yeah.
You know,
shout out
Rice Eccles.
Shout out
Rice Eccles. But he looked good too, just like using him like the way they did. I think the run defense was obviously shocking a little bit, just the way that the pass blocking for the Jets was. I was surprised that they were able to run the ball like that. Yeah. And again, that could have been just how explosive the running backs were. I mean, they looked good, but yeah, Bills offense for me was shocking a little bit. Like, or just I guess it's probably just Josh Allen. Like he was shocking.
Yeah,
those throws were. I mean, they were great arm punts, but they were bad. Like they were guards.
The one was actually a fantastic punt. If that was the only thing he did all game, I'm going, you know what? That's fine. Threw it to the 1 yard line. Like, I think that's a pretty good. He took a shot. It didn't work. They got the ball at the 1. He's confident in his defense that, he's like, they have fucking Zach Wilson. Wow, what am I worried about? Let them have the ball at the 1. We've been in the backfield all fucking day besides, with the running game, which before I forget, I do think that they were almost getting so much pressure that the defensive ends had crashed so hard by the time the running back was getting the ball that they were 5 yards behind Breece Hall, and he could just run next to the center and he was fucking gone. So that was the Monday night game. Final score was 22-16. Jets got the win. So we'll just fly through some of these games real quick. Panthers-Falcons, 24-10. Any thoughts about those two teams whatsoever? I don't think either one of them is going to be good.
It's kind of what I thought would happen.
Yeah.
Right? Panthers are going to be bad.
Panthers are going to be really bad.
Yep.
That's what I kind of – well, and Bryce Young looked like a rookie quarterback to me. Like, I didn't walk – and I didn't catch the whole game, but I was, like, watching it as I could when it came on Red Zone or whatever. But
more
Bryce
than
Young looked like
most people.
Rookie. Yeah. However – that running game, I think, for the Falcons is legit now with Bijan and Tyler Algier is legit. That dude was good last year already.
Yeah.
And he exploded again week 1, and I'm sitting there like that's a 1-2 tandem that's dangerous. Like that should. However, did you see one catch for a wide receiver by Atlanta? I think.
I
15
saw
completions or so from.
I have
Desmond
Drake
Ritter,
London.
And 9 of them were to the running back. So it's like that can't be sustainable.
No.
But the running game did look good. But that can't be sustainable.
We mentioned it week 1. I have no faith in Ritter going forward. Like you said, can't get the ball to his wide receivers. Am I pissed because I started Drake London? Yeah. Am I, but am I also just making a fair observation? Yes. You have to fucking spread the ball around a little bit. I don't think there's going to be any longevity in that. Bijan looks great. Algier looked great. They were able to run the ball, and they beat a team that they should beat, honestly. So 24-10 Falcons, they get the win. Most people don't care. Jaguars-Colts, that actually turned out to be a much better game than I think people were anticipating. I have the Jaguars to win the division, and I thought they would probably run away with this game pretty easily. My biggest takeaway was that I think Anthony Richardson's pretty solid. I don't know that he's great right away, but I think for a quarterback throwing him right into the fire immediately, I thought he did quite all right. I thought it was just fine.
I just think I'm going to go with the Jacksonville take here. I think that this is what Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson do. They are very average the first 10 weeks, and then they kind of get hot or they're going to fall off. I think that's what they've done. I think that's what they did last year, and I think there's a chance that's just who they are. No faith in Anthony Richardson still. No faith at all.
It's fair.
I'll go with the Colts side of it. Because I think, like AJ said, I think Jags for me were kind of what I expected. Ridley looked really good. That's the only thing I'll say.
Ridley looked fantastic.
Like he didn't miss a spot. Yeah, he looked just fine. But Colts, I was impressed a little bit with Anthony Richardson. I mean, came back a little bit, made it a game. Rookie quarterback, stayed in it. He hit Pittman a few times, which is great. Use your best receiver. People kind of forgetting about Michael Pittman. He used him.
Yeah,
was using his feet well, and also no Jonathan Taylor. So I'm thinking there, like, kind of halfway through the end of that game, I'm like, if you need to control the clock a little bit more when it's a close game, like Deion Jackson's fine, Anthony Richardson's fine, but I'm like, add Jonathan Taylor to that, then I'd be interested. Now, still, I think it's gonna be tough with a rookie quarterback, no JT. Like, no faith in them, but made it way better of a game than I would have thought.
Yes. Did I put a ton of money on the Jaguars? Yes. Was that responsible?
Yeah.
Not exactly, but I had a feeling the Jags were going to dominate that game. They made it way closer than I personally would have liked, but bet cashed. Jaguars get the win, 31-21. Receiving core does look good. I will say that Lawrence has toys to play with, so it'll be interesting to see how they develop down the line. I know, like you said, they're a good second half team, so it'll be interesting to see. Buccaneers 20, Vikings 17. Now there was a little bit of foreshadowing in last week's show for anyone who watched it in its entirety. Vikings won a lot of close games last year. It was a point of contention and concern for some of us here. And like I said, I like Baker. I don't know. I will not apologize for liking Baker Mayfield. Okay? I want everyone at home to hear me out. I like Baker. Sue me. I think the Buccaneers are going to be better than we expected. Still not even going to be close to the playoffs.
Sure. I think it was the most Baker Mayfield football game I've ever seen in my entire life. He completed 50% of passes, had 170 passing yards, and threw for 2 touchdowns and got a win.
Get your weight up, little boy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, get your weight up.
Yeah,
yep, that's
quintessential Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take Vikings on this one too, just because I agree with the Baker takes. It was funny to see him come out and just beat Baker. But it was true, like you said, Jesse. Like, that was the game that the Vikings were continuously winning those games last year, and that's what made them what they were. They were winning games by 1 score, and now you're seeing there's the 1 score difference. They lost it. Justin Jefferson was everywhere again. Like, dude was getting peppered. Hawkinson was used well. Addison scores. So there's the offense does look good. What are they missing? Madison was fine, but no Dalvin Cook plus Madison is the thing. That could be it. Like, I don't know. Like, what was the one thing to get him over a hump? Maybe who knows? But there you go. They're one score losing team when all the weapons were being used. Yeah. And they can't squeak it out because the defense is bad. You still have Kirk Cousins, who's just going to be Kirk. Like, it wasn't like a horrible game for them, but yeah, if you're not going to win that many 1-score games and be sustainable. And it looks like that's the team they're going to be. So me picking them to win the division, I'm a little bit like, shit, this might be a 500 team because like they're going to do this back and forth all over again. I think they play up to their competition. They play down to their competition. You know that they're going to be in almost every game. So I don't think that they're at all out of the possibility of winning the division because they're going to have a lot of close games. And, you know, if one thing goes their way as opposed to another, then they win that game. I thought it was interesting that Justin Jefferson was complaining after the game about not getting the ball, considering he had like 9 catches for 150 yards and like 15 targets. So I think he's mad because he didn't score a touchdown. I'm not exactly sure what he's mad about. He's mad because they lost. I get it. He's a competitor. He feels as one of the best players on that field that ball in his hands, they win that game. I just don't think that they're a great team together. I think that they have a lot of good players, but they're just not a great team.
I mean, Kirk had 250 yards at halftime, and it was tied against Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So I think that explains them well.
Yeah.
AJ?
I agree.
The division, so we don't know anything about that division now, officially.
Apparently,
we officially know nothing about that division.
Well, we'll get to it, but apparently you know everything about that division.
Maybe, but we don't. We really don't, though.
You might truly be the guru of that division. So, once again, Buccaneers sneak out with a win, 20-17. So then you want to talk about a barn burner. New Orleans Saints, Tennessee Titans. I mean, has there ever been a more Titans game than a 15-16 where they kick, 5 field goals?
That's right.
Tannehill had 3 interceptions or some shit like that. I mean, just the most Titans game of all time, and to still almost win the game.
Yeah, and Derek Carr, is it 2017, and does he play for the Raiders?
He's not sure.
He's not sure.
No.
I'm not sure. It's the same. They wear the same jerseys almost. I don't know what city we're in.
It is weird.
I don't know who they're all to. I don't, it. It looked exactly the same, and maybe that's enough for them to be good. Maybe that's enough for them to be really good because their defense is legit.
Yeah, I can't give them really good yet, but
the defense is good. I think I didn't watch a lot of that game, in all honesty, but I looking at the final score and catching the glimpses that I did, it seemed ugly, so I'll take your guys' word for it. I will say, Saints squeaking that out is probably good for them, being how their division's so kind of ass right now that party puts them on a front foot against these other guys. Get all the wins you can, because there's going to be a couple free ones, I think, once they get to the division.
Yes, definitely.
That's one of those games they'll look back and maybe be one game up on somebody, and it's that's the 16-15 win that did it. And it's I don't know. We'll see. It's a long-term take, but it's because I didn't watch it, but I'm that's probably going to come back to that division's so ass that could decide a one-game difference, and there you go. We kept the Titans field goal out of it.
Yeah, just as a fun fact, Nick Foles, or Nick, what the fuck is their kicker name? Nick Folb? What the fuck is their Nick Folb? How do you even? I don't know what their kicker's name is.
Is Folk kicking for the
Folk? Titans? Yeah, he had 16 fantasy points and T. Higgins had 0. So I just want to throw that out there.
I'll get to Higgins. I have a take on Higgins.
So that is 16-15 Saints over Titans. So then we got the Commies versus the Cardinals. I mean, no one that I know would have ever sat down and watched this game. So I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about it. I think we all expected the Cardinals were going to lose because they're not playing for anything this year. Really, Commanders' defense is going to keep them in games. I don't know what their offense really looks like. If they run the ball well with Brian Robinson like they did in parts of that game, then they might be all right. But I don't see them as a playoff team either.
I really like B-Rob. The story of this game was Sam Howell getting fucking decapitated, and then the ref getting up Undertaker style to throw the flag. That was the best play of that whole game.
True. That is literally the only good part of that game.
Yeah, I kept a couple tabs on this game just because Commanders being in the division, and then Cardinals are Giants next week, and it was very funny to see. At the time, it was very funny as a Giants fan to see the Cardinals in that game as long as they were, and in the lead even, until it wasn't for the it was funny for Giants fans all day until it wasn't.
Yeah,
we'll get there too. But at the time, it was funny, and Sam Howell's they're gonna be bad. I think that's a bad football team. The Cardinals are a horrible football team, and it's gonna be interesting to see which NFC East teams between the Giants and Commanders wants that last place spot more, because that's
which one wants it more.
Which one wants to be last more? Who wants the better pick? Because those they look bad to me. B-Rob is fine, but Sam Howell's not going to be. He's not going to win them many games. Not in this division. It's kind of a take foreshadowing the other games too. But seeing the Eagles and Cowboys play, that Commanders team is fucked.
Yeah, I think they're going to have trouble with a lot of teams in the league. And then you start talking about those top dogs, they're not going to hang with any of them. So that was 20-16 Commies over Cardinals. Then we have AJ and I's division rival. We have the Baltimore Ravens beating the Houston Texans 25-9. Probably the most predictable outcome of the day. I think the line on this game was 20 points or something like that. So everyone knew what was going to happen here. I think the biggest storyline is J.K. Dobbins being out for the year. Guy can't catch a break. Such a talented player, but I don't know where this leaves him going forward. Ravens are always able to run the ball with running back by committee. So I think, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, they step up and they'll be just fine. I think the Ravens are a good team. They didn't show a ton because they didn't have to.
They look like dog shit. I hope they suck. I hope Lamar breaks his neck. I can't wish anything worse for the Ravens. I really think they're not very good.
Oh, no.
He threw for like 150 yards. I know that he didn't have to.
Yeah.
But show me more, or else I'm just going to keep hating you and shitting on you.
Right.
I don't know.
Yes.
You just got all that money. You're always hurt. Fuck you.
Yeah. Fair.
I'll kind of go the other way again. I thought CJ Stroud. No, like just the other team.
Yeah.
I thought CJ Stroud looked pretty good. Like the team sucks around him. Honestly, like they're just a bad team anyways. But like for a rookie quarterback going and playing at Baltimore in his first game, it's a good defense and a good team.
Yeah.
I'm not. If I'm a Texans fan, I don't walk away from that feeling that bad about it. I'm just kind of like, yeah, that was a rookie quarterback in his first game, bad environment, and get out of there 29. We didn't, Damian Pierce got stuffed, so they couldn't establish any run game. It was, and they fed the shit out of him. But yeah, I think I'll wait and see on the Ravens just because it was the Texans. But CJ Stroud looked okay, and that might be a little bit of bias, but we'll see.
We all are.
It's a hard place to go in and play.
Do you think that CJ Stroud is going to have a quicker or slower development than Justin Fields?
Ooh, give me to the.
Because they both started in kind of similar scenarios. When you're a high lottery pick, obviously that's the nature of the beast. But
honestly, I'll tell you a secret. I don't really get why all of a sudden Justin Fields, after being like an explosive fantasy quarterback last year, was like automatically like he's figured it out. Because obviously we already did, and we already figured it out. That to me, like I'm not out on him yet, but by all means, I think that he's almost at the same damn spot that CJ Stroud is still. Like he doesn't like he's. I don't know, man. I don't know about Fields. I don't know. I haven't understood that one yet. So I guess I'd say CJ to answer your question.
Could be.
Yeah, he could be a better passer already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think
he looked confident.
I talked myself into CJ on that. Like I think that's kind of where I would say. Like yeah.
And like Jesse said, it's tough when you go high lottery, like it's the fucking NBA. When you go high draft pick, you're gonna go to a team that blows. So it's hard to tell. Yeah. Like it's really hard to tell if it's the quarterback or the nature of the beast or where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to thumb your nose at to have 240 yards against Baltimore in your first start. Like, you're always going to get the respect that you deserve for that, which I think is a decent amount. I don't think it's anything where I'm going like, okay, he's the guy. I know this now. But I think he was serviceable. So Baltimore got the job done easily, 25-9. And the guy we just touched on, Justin Fields, in his first, of many battles to come with his, supposed to be division rival, Jordan Love gets it done in his first start. Who could have predicted but Over the Line's own AJ? So, I mean, tell us, what did you like from your guy?
We threw 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he did.
And he didn't have his number 1 receiver. So what does that tell you? And the running backs didn't really do that much. A.J. Dillon got shut down. I think
Aaron Jones did a lot.
He had a good receiving like game.
Like over 100.
Yeah,
but those they weren't like deep throws. Like Jones did look good.
Yes.
I mean,
no, he looked great. He looked good. Yes, but I think what AJ was saying,
did that hamstring.
The running game specifically wasn't anything crazy. Is that kind of what you were getting at? Yeah,
I agree.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know what that means. He's probably good. The Bears defense is supposed to be good. I mean, he's probably pretty good.
He did look good. He looked good. He had a lot given to him too, though. Like not in a bad way. Like not taking it away from him.
Right.
It's just that I can't tell. Like he played really well, and what he was given, he was taking, which is all you want. So that's really good. The Bears gave him a lot of open throws, and he took every single one of them and nailed them. He had a really good throw to Dobbs. I can't remember what part of the game it was, but he had a throw to Dobbs over the shoulder. That was just fucking awesome. And I'm like, that's all you could ask for.
I was like a NFL receiver.
Yeah, I mean, he did play well, but it wasn't in volume, but it was short bursts. Like none of their receivers had, huge days. I think Aaron Jones led them in receiving, But he was able to spread it around, which is something we touched on earlier. It's really important to be able to spread it around. You got to keep them guessing where you're going with the ball. It does help that when you have a guy like Aaron Jones who you can throw a screen to and then he takes it for 60 yards. Obviously, it's going to pad the stats a little bit. But I think, a quarterback rating of, 125 speaks for itself. I mean, he was 15 of 27 for 245 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So, I mean, to me, that's a great game. Kenny Pickett comes out with that stat line, wait till you see how I act on this show if Kenny Pickett comes out with that stat line. It will be embarrassing. You see this after what happened to us, it's going to get crazy in here. Kenny Pickett comes at me with 125 passer rating.
Now the Bears, let's preface this by saying the Bears might really, really suck. They might suck really bad.
I feel like that's almost a given at this point. There was a lot of hope for them coming into the year, like Chris touched on earlier. Like, people kind of crowned Justin Fields as like, he is the guy. We know now he's the guy. And maybe, like Chris said, that's like fantasy owners being like, no, Justin Fields is the guy. But, we're basing shit off of stuff that doesn't matter in the game. And can he make the right reads and lead his team to win what are supposed to be close games? This on paper was supposed to be a good game, and it just was not.
No.
And I do think that has really more to do with the Bears than, I am interested to see where the Packers go. I think that maybe you're on to something. Jordan Love did look great. Could this be just the Bears are that bad? It is possible, and we'll see as the weeks go on. So that was 38-20, Packers taking care of business. Then we have another just amazing game. Raiders-Broncos, 17-16. Raiders get the win. Just another one where if you had to watch this, I do apologize to you. But if your girlfriend was sitting there watching with you and you're a Raiders fan, at least you got to see Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep, and it was a typical Jimmy Garoppolo, boring as fuck.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about this game.
Me either. Honestly, I don't either.
All I'll say is that until he doesn't, I don't know why Jimmy G isn't the starting quarterback for everybody's team. Because apparently,
I agree.
I agree. All this motherfucker does is win.
Can you imagine if the Jets had him now?
And then it's never like sexy. It's not like, except for him, he's sexy, obviously.
He's so
but the game
sexy.
itself is ugly. It's
right.
ugly. It's horrible. It's terrible.
Well,
and
you can't have two sexy things that close.
He's dumping off. He's got Devontae Adams now, which is just great. I mean,
does he? I completely forgot.
Just get it to him. Just get it to him. Like, he just gets the ball. He's like, there's Devontae Adams. You're 10 yards, 11 yards. Just because he's always open because he's good. It's like, all right, this is gonna be again. Josh Jacobs will establish the run for them when he needs to. He's going to have Devontae Adams, and Jimmy G's going to game manage them to the fucking playoffs probably. Here we are again. Yeah. And he's going to get cut, and let's see where he goes next.
I would love for him to game manage for us. I would take a game manager right fucking now. I would gladly take Jimmy G. And before we move on from this game, if Jimmy G's on the Jets right now, are they still a Super Bowl contender?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Insane, because I completely agree. The Jets with Jimmy G right now go to the Super Bowl.
You could say that about
go. I don't know if I could say go.
No, they go.
32 teams?
Yeah, I mean, he's good enough to start on half of them.
Purdy last year was amazing, but he rode the coattails of Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he took them to the NFC Championship game. He did. He was great when he came in for those 5 games. But the base of what all that 49ers team was Jimmy G's doing.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Are the 49ers last year a Super Bowl team? Absolutely.
Yeah, true. And I think
why not the Raiders and why not the Jets if he's there? All he does is just fucking compete.
And he's a winner. He's literally a certified winner. He wins everywhere he goes. I think the Raiders made a good move in getting him, although it's not going to be pretty. Like we said, it's going to be hard to watch at times. And then you go, but we won. So why are we mad? And then, we're letting him off easy by not mentioning anything about him. Russell Wilson sucks. So
I didn't even want to.
I just want to make sure.
I didn't even want to mention him.
We don't even need to say it.
I just want to make sure if you're at home watching, Russell Wilson's bad.
I was so fucking mad when Cortland Sutton caught that touchdown pass because I'm like, I invested in Cortland Sutton so much over the last couple seasons, and Russell gets there last year, and I'm like, this offense is going to be great. This year, I just avoid them completely because I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Me too.
And immediately, Sutton catches the touchdown. I'm like, they might suck, but that sucks. Me watching that dude catch a touchdown, I'm like, great. So they still suck. He still sucks. But he is putting up a 15 spot when I could have had him in round 10.
Yeah, that's pretty typical a fantasy
Wonderful.
miss right there. I think most people probably have him on their bench if they do have him. So that was 17-16. Raiders get the win. Eagles Patriots 25-20. Closer game than people thought. Mac Jones looked good. I'm not sure how I feel about the Patriots at the moment. I'll have to see more from them, but from what I did see, it was better than I expected. While
Mac Jones.
The Eagles might be what you predicted, and they might not be as good as we thought.
Yeah, I mean, the offense looked pretty vanilla. Mac Jones threw it 60 times. That's concerning.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not Patriots football. Yeah,
that's not Patriots football.
No, that's not Patriots football.
What are we doing?
But
they did use the shit out of a white tight end, though. It was Hunter Henry's season there.
Now that's Patriots football.
That was Patriots football.
That's Patriots football.
God. I was like, oh, here we go again with this guy.
It was like half the league. It was like anyone on the East Coast this weekend. It was a fucking downpour the whole game. So, I mean, who knows? We don't know yet. I think the Giants thing could be a complete fluke. Like, get Danny Little dimes out of the rain and maybe we're okay. I don't know.
Here's what I'll say with the Eagles, too. And I know I joked and said that Giants would win the division over them, but obviously my true feelings are that the Eagles are head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in that division. And I think watching the blunders of other teams this week one, I don't put a lot of stock into the Eagles keeping that close. I think I think the Patriots are a good coach team, whatever you want to say. That means anything if it does. Mm-hmm. Them keeping it close week one away, like, whatever to me. Like, I'm like, that Eagles team, I'm not going to look too much into that for them. I'm still expecting them to just get better and better. And so week one, I wish I could say, oh, they almost lost to the Patriots, but it doesn't.
Yeah, they look bad and still beat a probably at least middling team.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, away too. So were they away?
Yeah. Yeah. It was in New England.
It was at yeah. So it was like that. What are you going to do? Like, doesn't change a whole lot for me on that.
I think more than taking away from the Eagles, it's giving credit to the Patriots for that game. I think they played a good game. Yeah. Like you said, they're a well-coached team, so they're going to find themselves in some of these games that, on paper they probably shouldn't be. But
Jesse, do you have the stat splits there?
Yeah.
What was their rushing carries? What did they end up splitting?
Ramondre had 12 carries for a whopping 25 yards.
Sorry, Eagles.
Oh, sorry.
Eagles, sorry.
Gainwell had 14 carries, and Hurts had 9. And nobody else even ran the ball. Boston Scott had one run. DeAndre Swift had one run.
So that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
The word out of camp was that Gainwell was going to be doing that. I think this is like his 8th year. He's never had, like, I can't remember what it was, but his average carries per game and the amount of carries per year he's had, it was very hard for me to believe going into a year 8 that was going to change.
Right.
And that's interesting to see that he had 14.
It's out of necessity. There's no other option, right?
I mean, they got Swift.
But
I think Rashad Penny's good when he's healthy.
True.
They almost have too many running backs.
Right. Yeah. And they're not paying them shit.
Howie
Roseman figured it out.
I just want to make something clear here. Does a well-coached team just mean you have a bunch of white guys?
No, I think... No. You mean on the coaching staff or on the team?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that maybe we're going to have to do some research about that. That could be a good research project for the Over the Line podcast. So Eagles get it done, 25-20. Score not exactly predicted, but outcome as we all imagined. Probably the game of the week, Dolphins-Chargers. Dolphins 36, Chargers 34. Probably should have known that was going to be a shootout. It had all the makings of it. Chargers do it every fucking time, and the Dolphins are pretty notorious for that as well. Really, my biggest takeaway was Tua looked good. He looked accurate, but I think when you have Tyreek Hill, you don't have to do too much. As long as you get the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen.
I just want to say I played against Tyreek Hill in fantasy this week and won.
Wow.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
You deserve all the respect in the world.
Tua's still exactly what we think he is. He's good until his brain turns to mush, evidently.
Yeah, I thought I was a little surprised that game. I know they do high-powered offenses, but I thought maybe, like, because of that, it would kind of – I don't know. I thought, like, maybe game plan would be different. I was surprised to see it's such a – like, Rodgers' defense I thought was supposed to be pretty decent, same with Miami, and it just seemed like that was a college football shootout.
Yeah.
Like, they were just – I'm also surprised with Tyreek, it just blows my mind still that he's so small looking, and it seems like everything he's catching is like over the top of the defender. Like he's not jumping up there, but it's like that last touchdown was like over the top of a cornerback into the breadbasket. So I'm like, I don't know if that's Tua being accurate or whatever. It's just funny for me to see that because it looks ridiculous to me. It's like you used to think guys go up and get it, and it's like he's so small and he's just always behind. It's like he's always he has so much separation because of the speed.
Yeah,
he's just it's crazy. Like it just looks funny. It's like here's a short guy catching things in the. It's just funny. I don't know.
It seems like he always finds himself in the right positions to make the play. Like whatever that is, he finds himself right where he needs to be. Now, is that like partially Tua finding the spots for him, or has Tyreek gotten so good from playing in an Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes offense to where like he could go and play with almost any quarterback and put up these kind of numbers?
Yeah, I think he's. I was gonna say I just think that's Tyreek fully because he's just so fucking fast. Like that dude can create his separation when he needs to. They'll draw up plays that he thrives with, no matter where he is. And I think Tua helps. I think the thing he said last year about Tua was hilarious. And he was like, he's the most accurate quarterback in the league, and everyone's like, he played with Mahomes. But it's almost like take Tyreek's word for it. If he likes where the ball's being put, and he's putting up these types of games with Tua consistently, it's like, well, yeah.
Well, it's
take
not
his word for it because fuck do I know?
It's not Tua's arm strength, so what else could it be that makes him an NFL quarterback? It's probably his accuracy. He doesn't run the ball. It's not like he's getting out of the – I mean, he gets out of the pocket, don't get me wrong, but it's not like he's has 7 carries a game. Like, he never runs the ball. So, well, one, he doesn't want his brain to turn into scrambled eggs anymore, so he's not allowed to run. They have him on a pretty short leash, I would imagine.
Who would have guessed that the Chargers would rush for more yards than pass?
Yeah, that would be something that I would never guess, especially because Eckler catches the ball a ton out of the backfield.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, Josh Kelly looked good. I mean,
Josh Kelly looked good. Yeah, 16 carries.
I love Eckler, man. That dude for me is just electric to watch. I love that dude. He looked good. Herbert, I think the Chargers will be okay.
Yeah, they will.
Miami's good.
They're not going to win anything, but they'll be good. Yeah,
they'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. They're kind of always stuck in that spot where they're like, yeah, they are a fun team to watch. They got cool uniforms. They got Justin Herbert, flashy, throws the ball a ton. It's like, but can they win games? They can win enough, but they can't win at all.
They're one stop away there at the end from us saying this about Miami because we would say the same thing.
I think both applies. Yeah,
we're saying the same thing. We'll be like Miami.
100%. I think they're almost one and the same. Yeah, you could probably play that game 10 times and it goes 5-5. So that's 36-34. Dolphins beat the Chargers. And then the last one before we get to the most important games of the week, Rams Seahawks 30-13. I don't have much on this one other than, man, I could have been wrong about the Seahawks. It's still early, but I think the Rams suck. So I'm a little bit worried that maybe I jumped the gun, but we'll see. Only time will tell.
I just think Matt Stafford is still good.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like he in quarterback league, good quarterback, probably good head coach. Who knows?
Garoppolo or Stafford?
Stafford, and it's not close. Stafford right now.
Yeah, right now.
Stafford on the Raiders, they win the Super Bowl. Stafford on the Raiders, they're the Super Bowl favorites. No?
I don't know about that.
I don't like that question.
I don't know about that.
I didn't think I'd feel
I've always been a huge Stafford.
Right in the middle on that. But
yeah, let's hear it, Chris.
That one got me. I'm like, unfortunately, you said that. I'm like, to think on that. Like,
that's a tough one.
Which is weird. I'd probably say Stafford too, but I was sitting there like, I don't like that question.
Yeah.
I think Kyren Williams was good. That was awesome to see. That dude was fun to watch. Who is that kid? I can't say his name. The wide receiver that looked good on the Rams.
Not Tutu Atwell, the other kid, right?
No, the other dude. He looked good.
Naka or whatever.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Acapulco.
He looked good.
Yeah.
I think if Cooper Kupp can come back healthy and Akers and Kyren Williams actually run the ball like that, and they've got, solid defense, good defense, like they actually. People might be sleeping on them a little bit, I guess, but we'll see. There's always the risk with the Seahawks right now, and it's so early with Week 1. So many people looked bad, but the risk is that Geno Smith could so easily be Geno Smith. It's like we thought we knew who he was, and last year he was so good. It's like he could just so fucking easily just fall right back into the Geno Smith we thought, and no one will be surprised. It's just like if he does, that team that they're not going to go. Well, they could turn to what's his fuck.
Oh boy.
Drew Lock. Yeah, Drew Lock.
They could turn to him.
That's not going to help.
No,
that's not going to help.
No, so that's my worry with Seattle. If Geno regresses back to just baseline Geno, then
I'm not hopping off the bandwagon yet, but I will say I'm concerned. At the very least, I'm concerned.
Proceed with caution.
Yeah, I didn't like what little. I didn't see a lot of it, but I don't like what I saw. They ran the ball okay, and they still weren't able to open things up for Geno. That makes me a little bit nervous. And then once again, against a team that I still don't have a ton of faith in. Like, I may be one of the people who's sleeping on the Rams. I could be wrong. I don't think that I think they're a middle-of-the-pack team. So to just go out there and get handled by them pretty easily, it was 30-13, but it wasn't a close game. Like, it started off, the Rams scored, it was 7-3 or something like that in the first quarter, and then I think the Rams lost the lead going into halftime, and then they just dominated the second half. Like, it just was not – the score was not an indication of how the game actually went. So I don't have a ton of faith in them going forward.
The Seahawks supposedly have all these weapons. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba. They got, they have the running backs. I don't know. They're supposed to.
That's kind of where I'm like. That's kind of why I'm still proceed with caution, because JSN, for coming off wrist surgery too, he looked okay, first ever NFL game, so involved. But Metcalf did look good. Lockett got knocked out with concussion second half, so there's that too. They didn't lose Lockett, which when you're in the comeback game with that, trying to that's not great for a team.
That matters. That matters.
Lose them like that.
Yeah.
So
Geno's never going to be the quarterback to bring you back either, right? He needs to build a lead. He's not going to lead you down the field.
Last year I would have been every year, but this is what's fun. This is what I'm saying. I totally agree until all of a sudden you look at last year and I'm like, I'm maybe.
But if we're just speaking generally about Geno Smith, then I'm like, I'm with you. I would never imagine Geno Smith's going to bring me back. And then last year happened. I'm like, he's good? What's happening? So maybe I was wrong and he's not good, and I was just snake charmed by the fact that he was my fantasy quarterback. Entirely possible. So that was 30-13 Rams over the Seahawks. Unfortunately, it's time that we get down to brass tacks. So why don't we'll end on a high note, so we'll start with the low. Cowboys 40, Giants 0 on PrimeTime. A tough watch for even me as an impartial bystander. There was not a lot going right. Actually, almost nothing going right for the Giants. They were fumbling every time they touched the ball. It was like there was baby oil on their arms. It truly, truly was hard to watch. And that's coming from a guy who got his fucking ass handed to him earlier in the game. So, Chris, the floor is yours.
No, it was watching it all happen. I think it escalated so quickly.
Yeah.
And then just watching it, it's so funny. It was it was pouring rain, and then it was when it rains, it fucking pours. It was just
literally.
They looked horrible. So I'm not there's so much that I could talk about where it's in relative terms. It's everything is gonna be relative to they sucked. You know what I mean? There's things I can point out that were good, but it still is just take it with the grain of salt that me saying it was good is still at the level of they fucking sucked.
Right. I get it.
I don't you take away that first quarter, it was a blocked field goal for a touchdown. Okay, that sucks. But you can't have that happen. That's special teams. You can't do that. Yeah. Okay. That happens, but whatever. If we're gonna get blocked field goals taken back for touchdowns every game, then yes, I've got a concern. But I can brush that one off, whatever. That's figured out. Graham Gano's, and he's great. He is our best player probably. And so I have faith in kicking game to get going. He really is probably our best fucking player.
He had a couple shanks though.
But then that's what I'm saying. So then he missed another field goal. That's bad. The interception, I watched it back a few times. Danny Dimes probably should have got that out a little bit quicker to protect Saquon. But again, Saquon, it's pouring rain, catches it, pops up in the air, catch, easy pick six. I'm like, okay. There's worse. I've seen worse pick sixes thrown by Daniel Jones. So I'm like, okay, Rodgers that one up. That was popped up. Whatever. Now, outside of that, Daniel Jones made some questionable decisions. That that interception he did throw was bad. Honestly, I almost think it was worse just because it was first. I almost think it was worse because it was first down. If it was like third down and I'm like, hey, this team's got nothing going, I've got to force a play. But it was first down. Like that's got to go out of bounds. Don't force it there.
Yeah.
Line was awful. Line was just like honestly, it was like really hard to watch. That Cowboys defensive line was so quick.
Yeah.
Was like eating them alive. It was crazy to watch. It was tough. Like you said, it was genuinely hard to watch. It was without a doubt the hardest I've ever had to like literally force myself to sit and watch a Giants game because I was so ready to turn it off. And I was like, it's week 1. Like, let's just see what it is.
I can relate.
It was bad.
I can relate.
It was really bad. I think if I had to point out anything that I thought was okay, if I'm finding silver linings, and again, this is good, but fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Daniel Jones' play. I think when you're running for your fucking life like that and it's pouring rain, whatever. Like, I'm not going to sit here. Like, he couldn't do a whole lot. I didn't have time for it. I'm not ready to – I know a lot of people were like, fuck Daniel Jones, but whatever. Like,
neither one of them could pass – neither one of them could pass the ball in that game.
No, it sucks. Like, just let it happen, whatever. I'll hold off. And if he can't do it against the Cardinals in a dome on next Sunday, then I'll concern this year. I thought the defense for having a bunch of rookies in the secondary, we started 2 rookie cornerbacks. And again, it was pouring rain, so Dak couldn't really throw the ball well, but they held him to 150 yards passing, and they didn't have to pass. So again, it's all relative. But when they did have to cover, like, it wasn't that bad. Barkley looked good when he could, but you can't go back to the run when you're down 30 in the first quarter. You know, so it's only so much to do there. It's like, I don't know. Special teams looked bad, though. The blocking is going to be bad. I don't even know what to say about our receivers because we couldn't even get the ball to them. So, like, Waller was fine when we got the ball to him, but there was nothing there. Like,
I thought he looked pretty good.
It's so hard to even.
Waller was your best player.
Yeah. It's so hard to evaluate any of it because they just got fucking waxed.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely, it's like they were so bad. It's like I don't know. I literally have to wait.
He's one of the only guys who didn't fumble, so that's pretty good.
Oh, the Hodgins.
I have in my notes, literally what I wrote is the fumble by Hodgins in garbage time is so funny because it was comically bad. It was like you could have played like that goofy music in the background while he was like running with the ball and then it just slips out and you're like, exactly. That is what was going through my head while I was watching that. It's like, of course he would fumble on this play.
You know what's funny?
Tell me.
I was going fucking nuts. He gets the ball, and it's 40-0.
Go.
I'm on.
And he fumbles
it. Good play. Like, there it is. We had time to get a play off. There we go. And he just fumbled. And I'm just like, I'm done, dude. Like, there was nothing there. I was going crazy. I was so happy. It was so much joy, which just sounds so stupid. It was fucking awesome.
No, that's why I knew it was funny because I was like, that's the only positive thing they've had happen in the last 45 minutes, and they just gives it right back to them. It's like, here we go.
Yeah, you know what the most impactful play of that game was, and this is gonna sound really stupid.
Let's hear
but I promise you, it was. It was the Andrew Thomas false start on 3rd and 2 on that first drive. He didn't false start once last year. He false starts 3rd and 2, drives perfect. Didn't false start once last year. False starts, goes to 3rd and 7. Rookie center, then 3rd and 7. Rookie center, low snap, ball goes behind. Then the blocked field goal happens. That sequence kicked it off. And it's just funny to look back and be like, well, if Andrew Thomas doesn't false start on 3rd and 2, I kind of had confidence on that drive to punt to get 2 yards.
Yeah.
First down, keep going. Like, that just set it back. Rookie center had the opportunity then to make the mistake. And then the blocked field goal. And it was just like, from there, rolling downhill.
So if I'm hearing you right, without that false start, you win this game.
That's exactly what I said.
AJ, your thoughts on this game?
I'm going to do the thing where I hold one team to a standard where it comes to the weather, but I'm not going to do the same to the other.
Do it. Because I'm going to do that too later.
Dallas still blows. Their offense is fucking marginal, man.
Their offense wasn't great, yeah.
Terrible. I think that I agree with Chris. I think that if all the weird shit wouldn't have happened, the Giants' defense looked pretty solid. I mean, you're playing. Yeah. I'm not going to do it. But for the Giants, you're playing in rain, man.
I know.
The first game.
It was a downpour, man. Give us a break.
Downpour.
Shake it off.
And this is kind of stereotypical, but it's kind of true. Just a fucking ass kicking like this is a way to bring a team together. It really is. I think Daboll's a pretty good coach. I think that good teams overcome this type of thing, and I think the Giants are a good team. So I don't know, man. Don't fucking lose 40-0 though. But it was a lot of weird shit. There was a lot of one-off weird shit. No, and it was everything that we praised Daboll for last year. All of the ball security shit that we thought we cleaned up. We were never have to worry about again. We just went out the window right away. But it's a fucking downpour.
Right.
And whenever the Cowboys had the ball, it stopped raining.
True. Good point. Stay woke.
Sunshine and rainbows, and then all of a sudden, skies just open up, and fucking Danny Jones gets the ball.
130 yards, no touchdowns, right? Like, that guy blows.
Yeah.
That guy blows.
I didn't see anything from Dak where I was like, oh, okay, they're still solid at the quarterback position. Like, who knows? I have no idea. I mean, Tony Pollard looked good. Besides that, it's like CeeDee Lamb, but it doesn't really take much for CeeDee Lamb to look good. It's like you give him the ball a few times.
He was also lining up against, well, he had Adoree Jackson, who had actually, I was going to say rookie cornerbacks on him, but I think he had Adoree Jackson on him, who's not a rookie, obviously, but he was cooking him a little bit. But Giants secondary is going to be suspect. At Dallas D, I think, like, if I had to take one thing away from that game that I know with certainty, that Dallas D is fucking nasty, dude.
They do look good.
That defensive line is so good.
And by nasty,
and if they don't do that to other teams, I will be very surprised.
One of your guys' team played against a generational defense, and the other team played against the Dallas Cowboys.
True. But you know,
I have no faith in them. I have no. Why should we have faith in Dallas? Why should we have any faith in Dallas? Get the Texas teams off fucking primetime. Get the New York teams off primetime. I'm done. I'm so done with it. Nobody likes those teams out of those markets. Chris, I like the Giants. I do like the Giants. But no one likes those teams out of those markets.
I don't want them in primetime.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
Give them a witching hour game. What are we doing?
Wait, I can't remember if I think they have San Francisco on a Thursday night here coming up. I was already thinking, I was like, there you go. There's the flex Thursday game. You guys already got it. They're gonna flex the Giants right the fuck on out of there. Like, we're gonna get it real quick. It's like week 3, week 4. I think it's San Francisco. I can't remember, but whoever we play, that will be the one that they're like, fuck it, okay, immediately.
If they don't flex it, it's credit to whoever you're playing against.
We'll be the first Thursday flex.
Yeah, and as we wrap this game up, I do want to say you mentioned that the Cowboys defense is nasty. And, I mean, when you got a guy like Trayvon Diggs who does a lot of nasty things on Twitter, then, that's to be expected from their defense. Like, I mean, they were running up and down, sucking dildos left and right. So, they did look good, and I think that I think they have a lot of potential. They're nasty, man. Trayvon Diggs is nasty. He is super nasty. So I think this was more about the Cowboys and the weather, like AJ pointed out. This was obviously like the weather was against the Giants. Cowboys had no issues.
The Giants needed more things to fall into place for them to win this game than Dallas. I don't think anyone was going to argue that in the first place. And then when the rain came, I was like, well, you're fucked.
Yep.
Yeah, Giants haven't beat Dallas since Dak was a rookie. Going into this game, I'm not expecting us to automatically come out 1-0 because it's home week 1. Like, if we lose this game 28-25, we're still 0-1, and honestly, they probably won it the same way. If it's 28-25, it's probably 2 defensive touchdowns,
right.
Pollard running one in. Like, that's probably how they're going to beat us. So it's like whether they beat us like that because we suck and they squeak it out, or they beat us like that because we suck and we just really suck.
Right.
It's 0-1. So.
Yeah. So any closing thoughts? What are you looking forward to next week?
We're on to Arizona.
1 week at a time. Put that in the past. You're 0-0 right now.
Oh, we are hard 0-1.
Well, speaking of hard,
that might be the hardest 0-1 of anyone's life.
We've got another pretty hard 0-1 that hit the podcast this week. I know I came on here and I made some declarative statements about my Steelers. And I just want to address the people at home who had some comments about what I said. I fully believe in everything that I said last week, and I am not backing down on any of it. I feel like the San Francisco 49ers are a championship caliber team. They came in, smacked us in the mouth quick. We got shell-shocked, and we looked like shit from that point on. I'm not making any excuses. They beat us 10 out of 10 times on that day. Like, that game is not going to be close. I did come out and say that I thought the Steelers were going to win that game. I don't even think that was a bad take. I thought that a Tomlin coach team at home, there was a lot of good things that we were building on from the preseason, whatever that's worth. I do think that it's interesting to note that Kenny Pickett threw the ball 46 times and we ran the ball 10 times as a team. We ran the ball 10 times. That is just unacceptable that's like the Patriots. Unacceptable. A winning Steeler football team runs the ball. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Najee Harris is Trent Richardson. He is literally Trent Richardson 2.0. Pick a fucking hole. When you see a hole open, pick it and go. Why are you standing in the backfield every time you get the ball? It's so frustrating to watch, and now I finally understand what Browns fans were going through when they had to suffer through Trent Richardson being so indecisive. It's what made Le'Veon great in his take a second, pick a hole, and go, but at least he would pick one and go. Najee just stutters until the defensive line crashes, and then he gets tackled for like a 1 yard gain or a 1 yard loss. I mean, it's unacceptable the way that our run game panned out. Kenny didn't look that bad in the second half. First half, he looked bad. He had a couple bad picks. Deontay Johnson gets hurt. Allen Robinson looked good, but now Deontay's going to be out for a few games. So you got to rely on Pickens, who was already liking comments on Instagram after the game about get him the ball. It's like, okay, are we really going to start this diva shit already? Like, it was shitty weather. Like I said, we got smacked in the mouth by a much better team quick. Like, it's not like our defense was doing us any favors. You can't stop Brandon Ayuk. You can't stop Christian McCaffrey. You make Brock Purdy look like he was the first pick of the draft instead of the last pick of the draft. So I really don't have that much to be, like, gloom and doom about because we got beat by a better team handedly. Like, it wasn't a game that at any point after that first whistle blew that we had any chance of winning. I mean, it was one of those games where literally it was over from jump. And it's not even just being like a pessimist. It truly was. Like, we did not look ready to play that day. When San Francisco came out and they drove down the field, dink, 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 score, it's like, okay, well, they came to play. I'm not sure that we did. I mean, it took us a long time to finally put the ball in the fucking end zone. So, I'm not too concerned. I think the game against the Browns on Monday night will tell us a lot. If that is a one-score game, like, it's crazy that I'm using the Browns as a benchmark right now, but if that's a tight game down to the wire, then I feel decent about where our team's headed. If we go in and get blown out again, then I know without a shadow of a doubt we have not made the improvements that I thought we made, and we're not the team that I thought we were. But if we go in there and we duke it out with Cleveland in a game that's usually not close historically, but in the past couple of years has been a better competition. The Browns, as we'll get to, have proved that they at least have a legit defense. I'm not 100% sold on their offense, but we need to run the fucking ball. That's pretty much it. I'm not even sure what that play calling was because it's not like we got down by 30 in the first quarter. Like, we could have continued to try to establish the run, but we just never even tried to. So I'm not going to hop off the bandwagon just yet. I still have faith. I still think we're a playoff team. Now, my prediction about possibly being second in the division, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Baltimore took care of business, didn't surprise me. Cleveland did surprise me. So I'm interested to see how next week plays out. What are you guys' thoughts?
So you said Najee Harris is the reincarnation of Trent Richardson, but it's funny because George Pickens is just Chase Claypool.
Oof.
So have fun with that for the next 3 years. That guy blows. So that's where I'm at with that. They're a complete joke as long as they have that guy playing quarterback. It's like the Browns. The rest of your roster is good. Najee Harris is a little questionable. I'm not sure your offensive line's any good. You have talent. You do not have a quarterback. You do not have a quarterback.
It's hard to. Yeah, I don't have much I can say this week, so I just have to take it.
He had 1 yard. He had 1 yard after the first quarter, correct?
Yeah.
He had 1 yard.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. I don't need to say anything else.
Chris?
Yeah, I will say it's we took solace in each other both watching just complete beatdowns of our team. Like
I didn't want to see that happen to you. I didn't want to see that after what I had taken. Yes, we were able to bounce that energy off of one another.
It was like oh, here we go. And I actually at one point I mentioned to you, I was like, hey, you're welcome. We did it in prime time. We did it after you guys. We're going to take a little talking tomorrow. Everybody one game on it. It was the only game everybody was watching it. You know, there's people that missed that Steelers game. Just saw the score and we're like, wow,
I think we can both thank Aaron Rodgers. We can both thank Aaron Rodgers for taking the heat off both of us.
You needed it for one day. You only lived it for one day.
Yeah.
Yep. We can thank him big time. But I'll say, like, just in that, with that in mind, it's hard for me to not look at that and think that was more about San Francisco just being really good. That defense, same thing with, like I said, with Dallas, those defenses are probably the two best in the NFC.
Yeah.
And they looked like it. And I think week 1, and this is, somebody can probably come out and find a stat that just shits on me for this. But in my opinion, I'm not surprised that it's the defense is showing up in week 1 over a bunch of these offenses, and the offenses are sputtering. The offenses don't play a lot. I know the defenses don't either, but the offenses don't play a lot in preseason. Week 1, they come out sputter. The defenses look fresh. They're hitting. They're fast. Whatever. That's fine with me. 49ers are going to be good. Yeah. They're great. Steelers kind of paused for me too. I had them last in the division though, so I'm not totally like paused. I still think that they are what they are this year.
Yeah. They'll
be competitive when they need to be, but it's not. I don't think it's doom and gloom for you guys. I think it's more just
not yet.
Just great team they ran into that they did not get up for, which was surprising. I think I said too. Tomlin being a 2-point dog at home week 1, I was like,
yeah,
I'm taking Tomlin. Now, I will admit, I used the 10-point early lead on San Francisco money line cashed in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That's besides the point.
Fair.
That's besides the point.
Yeah.
That's besides the point.
Yeah. I get it.
I did think it was going to be a closer game.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought like that was going to be a closer game, and they just, like you said, they got punched in the mouth, and they never even.
We never got our foot
going. But the next game we talk about, I think it's going to, this is going to be a similar thing. It's like Pickett, I don't trust, like AJ said. He's your quarterback, so maybe you have a little bit more trust in him. I don't at all. I just don't. I haven't seen it yet. I don't get it. I don't read, off-season Steelers, not following them at all, what he's doing, what people like. I don't know. So I just personally, not there for me. But I'm also not surprised that week 1, the offense looked like shit. I think a lot of offenses looked like shit. So.
Yeah.
Here's your one saving grace, Jesse. If Kenny Pickett needed a get-right game, play Cleveland in Pittsburgh. He needed.
Is that this weekend?
It's Monday night
in Pittsburgh. Monday night in Pittsburgh.
So you mentioned them. San Francisco 30-7. We'll move past. You mentioned the team that we got this coming Monday. Your Cleveland Browns. You said that this could be a good get back game for us, but we all saw what that game was on Sunday. Yeah, we all see it, and you know what? You're able to relish in this. I cannot hate on the. You should be enjoying this. And not because it's going to be short-lived, because we don't know that as of right now, but they beat a good team, and they beat them handedly.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is still hurt. He can't play in the rain. He put a glove on and off like 6 times.
Saw that.
Game. He put one on, took one off.
I'm Kenny Pickett. I'm not Kenny Pickett. I'm Kenny Pickett. I'm not Kenny Pickett. Like he's.
Every facet of the Browns was clicking. Every single facet. Except for our quarterback. He's still very sketchy. I'm not sure it matters. Our defense looked electric. The secondary looked so fucking good. We have 2 really good defensive ends. They couldn't run the ball. They obviously couldn't run the ball because they couldn't throw the ball, but I mean, what a debacle from the Bengals, huh? Let's pay our quarterback $17 trillion. Let's be, one of 5 Super Bowl contenders, and then let's just come out and lay an egg. I mean, they look terrible.
They did.
They look terrible.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb is the best running back in the NFL. They did exactly what they were supposed to. They They
I don't
realized
disagree.
that Cincinnati couldn't stop the run. It took them a quarter or two. They realized Cincinnati couldn't stop the run. They realized our quarterback is marginal at best, and they just started fucking pounding the rock. And the defense was unbelievable. No special teams fuck ups. Penalties, I think they only got penalized 3 or 4 times. Only one defensive penalty, only one holding in the secondary.
That's insane.
That's incredible. The Browns always find a way to lose. They did everything the opposite in that game.
Yeah.
Our quarterback just sucks.
I'll start by saying, and I want this to be extremely clear, that game fucking sucked.
The Browns-Cincinnati game?
Oh, that Browns-Bengals game sucked.
It was the
Browns fan, baby.
Yeah.
But no, not for your Browns fan. I know, but good God, it sucked.
I think it was a slow and methodical beatdown.
But that said, exactly. I was gonna say that said, again, it was another one of those games where it was awful fucking weather for them, but it doesn't fucking matter. Burrow, again, didn't play at all in the preseason once again because he was injured, and he fucking looked like it. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, week 1, he looked like he didn't play. He looked fucking brutal. He looked terrible. The weather didn't help him, but he looked bad, and he looked like he hadn't played in a month. He looked like, you said, he looked injured. Like, he looked like he was coming off an injury. Okay, great. However, if I'm a Browns fan, who gives a shit? Like I said about the Giants being 0-1, if it's 28-25 or 40-0, they're 1-0. Right. They did what they had to do to win the game. Defense looked great. I honestly thought Deshaun looked fine. I mean,
I have a note on him. I'll touch on that, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Neither quarterback could throw the ball, right? They're coming up short.
Right.
He even said after the game, heavy ball. You throw it as you intend, and it dies out there when it gets halfway to him. And that was evident. He was throwing balls at guys' feet all day.
He couldn't stop throwing it at their feet.
Yeah, Myles Garrett, 2.5 minutes into the game, frothing over the defense before the snap was kind of all I needed to know about what that is gonna like. What that game was. It was over at that point. I was like, this dude came to fuck this team up, and he's going to. That was amazing. That was one of the best things I'd ever seen, and it was so early.
I mean,
it wasn't like it was when it was. It's not like it was when they were up. He was just like, fuck it.
He was full swagger.
Fuck this guy. Yeah, and so that was probably the turning point in the game. Was 2.5 minutes in for me. I was like, these guys are fucked.
Well, so some of the big takeaways for me is Chubb is that guy. I mean, I say this every time when I'm sitting there watching it with my dad. It's like, he's the type of guy who needs 25 carries. I think I said it on last week's episode too. It's like, they didn't have to feed him that much in this game because of just how easily they kind of handled Cincinnati's offense. So like, Cleveland didn't have to do all that much on their own when they had the ball. So I still would like to see him get more touches. You know, Jerome Ford coughed it up the first time he touched it, and then they almost split carries on the day. I don't know if they're having a hit on Chubb on like a bit of a snap count or whatever it is, but they need to let him go a little bit. He's one of the best players in the NFL. And when you play a team that actually plays up to the level like Cincinnati is capable of, they didn't do it. But if they would have played like, let's just say like a decent game for their team last year, then I think Chubb has to touch the ball 25 times. And then, because like you said, Deshaun was not throwing the ball well, whether it was the weather or not. What really concerned me, what I saw from Deshaun, was he wasn't going through his progressions. It was one read, and then his helmet would instantly go down at the line of scrimmage, and he's looking to get out of the pocket, and then credit to him, his eyes would get back up one last time to take another look, and then it was, I'll run for 5 yards, 6 yards, or I'll dump it off to the tight end right here. There was maybe once or twice where I saw him sit in the pocket and his head here and turn and look at his other read, make his other read, and then go. Every other time it was first read. If it's there, throw it. If it's not there, run it. So I think that's something to watch going forward. Was it because of the weather? It's possible.
Oh, I don't have any. I think that Watson can read a defense. I don't think that's the issue.
I'm not saying he can't read a defense. I don't think he was going through his progressions.
Oh, I don't think that's an issue at all. I don't think mentally, I don't think that's his issue at all. I think he gets shell shocked in the pocket now, and it's his technical, it's his throwing motion now. You watch him, sometimes he's off balance, he's not throwing from a good platform, which is kind of what made him good back in the day. But I don't think he is as physically gifted now as he was then. I have no problem with how he reads a defense or the decisions that he makes.
But he rarely throws from the pocket.
Oh, you'll see it. You'll see him throw up the pocket, and you'll see Chubb rush for 25 times. Why?
I'm just talking about week 1. I don't know what I'm going to see. I'm just talking about what I saw.
Well, why would you have Chubb rush 25 times this week?
That's what I said. You didn't need him to this week.
Right, and I would hope that you would if you were in a closer game.
Right. That was exactly my point.
Well, this is the last point I have on Browns was 2-minute drill at the end of the first half, and I'm 99% sure I'm remembering this correctly. The Browns were driving at the end of that half, correct?
Yeah.
Last 2 of that half. Yeah, Chubb wasn't in the game.
No, Ford was in for most of that drive.
Ford was in for that drive, and I'm sitting there like, is that? And they used Chubb. He got 4 passes, which for him is a lot of passes.
Right.
He was not ever used, especially with Kareem Hunt there. He was never used. But I'm sitting there like, I don't really give a shit if Ford can catch a ball better. I don't know if he can, if that's why he was in. I don't care. I as a neutral, I'm sitting there like, the Browns have not learned that Chubb being in is their formula, because like we've talked about this for fucking years. And so if it's 2-minute drill and you need yards and you need like, I guess it's more for me. It's like, AJ, how is Chubb not in there? Why is like, how are we still in 2023? We're talking about Chubb maybe being the best player in the NFL. Why is he not in there? Is it because of pass catching? Like, it blew my mind. I'm like, how have we not learned this yet?
I think a lot.
And it didn't end up mattering, but it's like, why? It's 2 minutes left in the half. Where's he at?
I mean, Elijah Moore had a couple carries on that drive. I think a lot of it is,
which I love Elijah Moore, by the way. Didn't even get to him.
Yeah.
A lot of it is. This has kind of been Stefanski's forte the whole time. That's why when you had Kareem Hunt, you keep Chubb's carries down. He's fresh, and then he hits a home run in the fourth quarter in almost every game. He has a long rush in the fourth quarter to close it in almost every game. But
with like a 2-minute drill ending the first half, not where I'm limiting the carries happening for me. If that's the drive, I'm for sure having him in. I don't know.
And also,
I'm just confused by it. I'm just like, why are we? That's where he's going to get hurt instead of other players. I don't fucking know. I'm like, he's the best player on that offense.
Yeah, I mean,
if they took Barkley out in a 2-minute drill for the Giants and put in Matt Breida, I'd be like, what are we doing? And again, they're different running backs. Barkley catches a lot more, whatever. But best player, best time. It's like, I don't know why.
I get what you're saying.
I bet if I asked that to Stefanski on a podium at a news conference, he would like find a way to absolutely shut me down and explain exactly why. But I'm going to sit here and say, fuck you, Stefanski. Put Chubb in.
Right. Yeah. I just think right now, I mean, Jerome Ford isn't Kareem Hunt, so it's not like the change-up that Kareem Hunt was. Whether Jerome Ford can be that, I think he can. I think he has the skills. It's unfortunate to start with a fumble, because then, like, now I'm like, okay, so his first touch, he fumbles the ball. You have the best running back in the league standing on the sideline. At that point, it's still a close game. Like you said, when you're driving, why is your best player on the sideline? Once again, they didn't really need to use him a ton. They won this game really easily. They won it with defense. Yeah. So I don't think that I'm going to read too much into that in week 1. But, I mean, I'll stick by that, like, if the Browns want to be a top team, then Chubb has touched the ball a ton. I don't think that's, like, a controversial statement.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I'm also at the point with Chubb and like with all this running back shit where, like, Chubb's not getting any younger. Use him.
Yeah.
Use him. Like Henry with the Titans, man. They don't give a shit. They pound it.
The Titans versus
Henry. But they're in the playoffs every fucking year. So it's like, what I'm saying? Like, they know the formula. I'm not saying they're good. They're not a great team, but they know the formula for them to win. They figured it out. It was not going to be Tannehill winning them games. That formula for the Titans is...
It's definitely not going to be that. It is sure as fuck not going to be that.
With the Browns, it's like, I'm with Jesse, where it's like, I don't... And I know that's what Stefanski is doing. I'm just saying, fuck it, man. Just give him the ball. Like, run him into it.
For my own sake, good. I love it. I mean, keep him on the sideline. Give him 18 carries. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Crazy, because I want him. Yeah, I mean, 25. He should never have more than 25 carries. I want him at 18 carries. That means we are doing well. If he only touches the ball 20 times, that means the Browns are playing good football.
Yeah, but I think that doesn't mean necessarily the Browns are playing good offensive football. But yeah, if their defense does what they did against the Bengals, then Chubb doesn't need to run the ball that much. That's completely fine. But I don't think that that's going to be week in, week out. Your offense isn't going to have to score points. I think there are going to be games where you're going to have to score, and when you do, you feed your best player the ball. It's not that crazy. I mean, but once again, Deshaun's going to have to – it is going to come back to the fact that Deshaun is going to have to be the guy you paid him to be. Like, if you want to win it all, you can still win games. I'm just talking in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you want to win, and when I say win, I mean win it all, then he has to be the guy that you gave $200 million to.
Yeah.
I feel good if I'm a Browns fan today.
I mean, I would feel fucking great.
That's how I walk away.
This is probably one of the best week 1 wins they've had in a long time. This is a big win.
I think it's their first week 1
win since 2004. Do you guys know who's playing quarterback for the Browns?
Well, it could have been a lot of people. Let's see, 2004.
It's one of the big ones, though.
Fry.
No.
Couch.
No.
That was 02, right?
Yeah, it's Jeff Garcia.
Fuck. I could have got that, too. That was back when my dad had the nosebleed fucking seats. I've historically been to more Browns games than I have Steelers games. I have seen more losing football in person with my own 2 eyes than most people that I know. So I know a thing or two about losing football. I'm just getting used to seeing it in my own colors. And it's a rude awakening, I will say.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's a tough scene, and I don't wish this upon anyone because it gets dark. Yeah. I mean, when you want to turn the game off going into the fourth quarter, that's hello darkness, my old friend. I mean, and this is not something that I've had like over a long period of time. So I get that I'm spoiled. Great win for your Browns. Nothing to take away from that other than they look good. Defense looked great. Bengals look bad, but is that an indication of how the Bengals will be? I don't think so. I think it's more an indication of the Browns defense.
Oh, I wanted to say one last thing.
Yeah.
Bengals, as bad as Burrow looked, Higgins, 8 targets, 0 receptions is probably, for me, the wildest stat of that game because that is such an anomaly for like what that offense is and does. Like that, it wasn't so much Burrow struggles. It's the fact that Higgins, they struggled so bad that Higgins didn't fucking catch the ball. Like
he got shut the fuck down.
That's crazy because that dude is obviously the 1B to the 1A chase and
then 1C Tyler Boyd.
And then the 1C Tyler Boyd actually had the best game.
Yes, he's actually 1A. So it's 1A Boyd, 1B Higgins, 1C Chase.
And that's what the C stands for.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. Third best receiver on the depth chart.
They benched Burrow with 8 minutes left in the game.
That, to me, was extremely significant. You guys beat them into submission to where Joe was like, you know what? I'm going to tap out on this one. I think you guys got it, and we're good.
Wait, I got to make it.
They have offensive line issues. They have bad offensive line issues.
Yeah.
I got to make this about the Giants real quick one more time. Speaking of being benched.
The
last drive of the game, Daniel Jones gets sent out there, and I'm like, all right, you know what? For me, I'm actually kind of like, I get it.
Yeah,
get some reps. Not a big deal. I don't know how many people caught this that aren't Giants fans. That was our third-string offensive line. So Dable says, go out there and get reps. But we had third stringers out there. Thomas wasn't out there anymore. He had a hamstring issue. Neal wasn't out there. Evan Neal's not out there at right tackle. We do have the rookie at center still. But, that was backups that they sent him out there with. And so when he was getting blown up on that last drive, I'm like, oh, my God, we're going to watch Dable kill this man.
So that's why they were on the call saying, I'm not sure why Jones is still out there. Maybe he just wanted to. So what I didn't realize was because I saw that Saquon wasn't in, obviously. So I was like, okay, skill guys aren't in. So the entire offensive line, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, it was all backups except for Schmitz, who's he's a rookie though. So basically, keep him in there for sure. But yeah, it was total get Jones reps, but nobody else. Which to me was like, how does he need the rest? Our line is getting fucking smoked. It was just it was disaster. It was
and now that Daniel Jones literally has a Joe Burrow contract, you gotta be careful.
Yeah. The $80 million guaranteed is very Joe Burrow-esque. Be out after year 2 is exactly what the Bengals were looking for with Joe Cool.
If it makes you feel any better, which it should, you have Arizona next week, so. If you want to talk about a real get-back game, I know we joke about the Browns we just went back and forth. You obviously have a lot of faith in your team. That's not this is a prove-it game, I think, for both of our teams, and I think Chris truly has an opportunity to get right.
I don't think I have that much faith in us. I just think the rest of the league is underperforming. And like Chris said, it's week 1. Those offenses will take some time to catch up with the defenses. That always happens. I don't want to sit here and act like we might have the best running back. I'm not sure we're any good. I'm not sure we're any good. We played a game in the rain. I mean,
defense stepped up.
Sure, defense stepped up against the guy who could only throw it 10 yards.
Yeah, I don't care about week one. Like what the Steelers did, it will be impressive to me if the Browns go in and beat the Steelers.
Yeah,
and after because it's a big letdown spot for them. They already had the big win at home. It'll be a big spot to go.
That's why I think once again,
I agree there. Like
I think this is like a prove it game.
They get their asses kicked to them. Yeah, I won't be surprised if I won't be surprised if it flips. In the Bears,
I mean,
Browns do what the Bengals did. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, yeah, that's the.
If the Browns go in and get skunked, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, no one saw this coming. I think they'll be like, okay, yeah, the Steelers are a well-coached team, and they bounce back from a bad game once again in inclement weather. You got both sides of the coin.
That answers AJ's question.
Yep, Mike Tomlin, good coach.
Yeah, there we go. We figured it out. It doesn't mean that
secretly white. So this has been it for episode 2. Hopefully, on third week of this show, we will have a little bit more to cheer about on me and Chris's side. But that would mean that we would have a very sad boy in AJ. So we will see. Best of luck to both of you guys this week. I wish I meant it fully for you, AJ. I only mean it partially, but I hope it's a great game. Any last words for us?
Cardinals still have Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray?
I actually don't even know. I know they have Cliff.
I have no idea. No, they don't.
Oh.
They don't.
Never watched a Cardinals game in my life.
I have no idea who didn't he survive cancer?
Never heard of him.
He played for
Pittsburgh. He went to college in Pittsburgh.
Stay tuned for episode 3 and you will find out who beat cancer.
I don't remember.
Peace.